Welcome to the Teaching Assistant Orientation and Teaching Workshops. I'm Pamela Barnett. I'm an Associate Vice Provost and I direct Temple's Teaching and Learning Center. There are approximately 200 of you here, and that means that you are going to be impacting thousands of Temple students' learning. So you have a very important job. The influence that you have over the students here and the guidance you give them can certainly make a difference, and it can really even change lives. I would suspect that many of us are here. You've chosen to pursue graduate study and academic careers because you had a great teacher, hopefully a few great teachers, people who helped you learn how to answer really interesting and meaningful questions and how to engage fascinating and important problems. People who gave you the skills and the tools you needed to meet those great challenges. And I think this is a pretty important moment in your professional lives where you get to step into your mentor's shoes and kind of pay forward some of what you got. So we want to help you do that well at Temple University. That's why we have the Teaching and Learning Center. We want to make sure that when you go into the classroom, you have some idea about what the research says about how people learn and what best teaching practices are, so that you can have a practice that's sort of based on the evidence. But this is only one day, so I hope you get a lot out of it. But I really hope that this is a gateway for you and your sort of a lifelong commitment to your professional development as an educator. Last year, over 1,200 Temple faculty and graduate students participated in Teaching and Learning Center dialogues or programs because we sort of hold it as a value here at Temple that we want to be great educators, we want our students to have the best possible learning experience, and we want to be prepared to do that well. So we invite you to come back to our programs, but I also want to direct you to that small brochure that was in at the registration table for the Teaching and Higher Education Certificate. I think this is sort of the A game for us. It's the most professional development you can get here for teaching while at Temple. So I'm not going to talk to you about the details of that, but I wanted you to be aware of it. There is, if you'd like to earn the Teaching and Higher Ed Certificate, which can help you enhance your teaching and be a great teacher, it can also be a wonderful credential for you when you go on the academic job market. But if you'd like to earn that, you can start this semester or next by taking the Teaching and Higher Education Seminar. And these seminars are offered by academic areas. So if you are studying in the humanities, you might want to take the course that's offered by the Department of Religion. If you are a scientist, you might want to take the course that's offered by the Department of Chemistry. If you go to that website, you'll see all of the different options there for you, and we would really welcome you to do that. So now I want to introduce you to our next welcomer of the day, and that is Zeb Kendrick, who is Vice Provost for Graduate Studies.
Good morning. To begin with, no one at Temple should be a stranger. So I would like for you to introduce yourself to the person to your right and the left, behind you and in front of you. Take about 1 minute. Let them name, program, you know what college you're in. So please. To continue on, excuse me, we have students here representing all of our schools and colleges, and I'd like for you, particularly the doctoral students, to think of this day, and particularly if this is your first semester here, as the first day of achieving tenure. I know it's a different way of thinking, but it's what you do in your doctoral studies in terms of publications that get you into the type of school or institution that you would like to go to. And having the teaching certificate that Pamela mentioned is a very good entry in order to try to improve your credentials. And also, obviously, to have publications and presentations at national meetings. I know it's a little bit different, but I would really like for you to think, as you enter into your doctoral programs, that today is the first day of your tenure package and all materials that you have to put together. The graduate school, a lot of people will tell you, that we regulate the heck out of everything, and we don't give anybody any chance to do anything that they want to do. But I also would like to propose to you that we give a lot of guidance so we don't run into problems or issues. I'm finding out that everybody still knows who the Terminator is, but they're losing sight who Mr. Rogers is as we age. And by the way, most of you look like you're like 16 years old to me. It's every year, for some reason, the TAs look a lot younger. There's some key individuals associated with the graduate school. Ken Blank is the Senior Vice Provost for Research and Graduate Education. He's my immediate boss. And through his office, we reach out for commercialization. We reach out into businesses and business practices. This is also where intellectual property goes through and new discoveries. In your TA appointment letters, there's a statement in there about intellectual property. I would hope that you would reread that. If you're coming up with something, the university will work with you through a disclosure to try to help you bring it to a market. And of course, if you bring it to a market and there's revenue that's generated, you'll be receiving a portion of that revenue. So we have an office that does that. I'm Zeb Kendrick. I'm the Vice Provost for Graduate Education. And just to show you what my jobs are, I hope to never see any of you on a student appeals issue. But I'm also responsible for the graduate school committees. We have 4. One is appeals, but one is a program. So all of your doctoral programs and master programs that you may be in are constantly being reviewed by the graduate board. Looking in terms of time to completion and other issues associated with students, and we're working very hard to tighten up things the best that we can so that students will move through in a much more rapid and much more timely fashion. I'm sure all of you would like to get done as quickly as you can, but today is the first day of your 10-year package to make sure you do everything that you need to do. We're also responsible for the postdoctoral office. Many of you within your schools and colleges will also be working not only with faculty, you'll be working with postdoctoral fellows along your graduate education. We have ancillary things that we do in the graduate school. Marge Pippett is the Assistant Dean. Mike Toner is Director for Enrollment and Data Management. Alice Abner was the one that was responsible to make sure that your letters all complied with TUGSA. And so all your appointment letters, the amount of hours per week that you're working, and in terms of what your stipend and your benefits are. Cynthia Harmon-Williams is our business manager. I've seen 2 of our fellowship students that we supported that came in under fellowships that are now teaching associates, and Cynthia also runs our fellowship program. Tara Schumacher does our international credentialing. Kathy Petrick-Lefevre is the editor for the graduate school. She's responsible for the graduate bulletin and the graduate school news that I'll mention a little bit later. And finally, Krista Viola might be the most important person because she's the one who is the final person to clear your dissertation. So she's by far the most important person that we have. As you know, because you're teaching assistants, you have financial assistance as a teaching assistant. We also have graduate assistantships. We have graduate externs. They work for non-academic departments. We have graduate internships that work in departments, work in colleges, but not necessarily a department, mostly in terms of studio types of activities. And then we have different fellowship awards. As I mentioned before, several of the people in this room today are coming off, have just finished their 2nd year of their fellowship and have now become teaching assistants. And then finally, just to let you know, we do have a dissertation and project completion awards. They're somewhat limited. One of the rules is that you've run out of financial support. We pay for 1 credit of tuition at the end because you should be at the dissertation, and it's a dissertation completion. Right now, the stipend's $8,000. I anticipate next year is for 1 semester. Next year, I anticipate it being $10,000, but you have to get finished. If you don't get finished, we punish your department. As simple as that. About the next time they put someone up, because they're making a commitment and you're making a commitment. What you see and what you don't see. As you well know about icebergs, you don't see most of an iceberg, you only see the top of it. So graduate education, I just want to go through a few things that you don't see that you need to be aware of. And one of them is your research. And as a teaching assistant, you might be having in your class activities experiential learning that goes outside of the classroom. Once a survey, once an interview goes outside of the classroom, you need to have IRB approval. In most cases, it will be exemptable, but you still need to have IRB approval. It's not Temple's guidelines, it's federal guidelines. And we've been burned recently on several different cases where students having classes, and these were faculty members, not TAs, having classes where students were doing experiential learning outside the classroom when somebody called in a complaint. And then and they were reportable complaints. So we had to deal with the feds. And so, again, survey, interviews inside the classroom, fine. Once something is taken outside of the classroom, plan ahead and go through the IRB. So one of the things that helps you plan ahead, if you go to the Human Subjects Training site, you'll find the CITI, C-I-T-I program. And you can go ahead and get started, and I would suggest anybody that's going to be doing human research that involves human participants that you go ahead and get your approval. It lasts for 2 years. For those of you who may be doing animal research, this is your link. There's a page that is being handed out that has all these regulatory affairs on them. There's a biosafety. For some of you working in labs, you have to have additional training when you're dealing with hazardous materials. And then, of course, there is environmental health and radiation safety. All of these are very important. I put it together for you. And then finally, these are the general policies of the graduate school. So you can find the general policies and procedures. You can find the forms that we use for extensions of time, submitting a dissertation, applying for our first summer's research initiative, applying for dissertation completion grants, things like that. So that information is made available. And then we have graduate school news. Please share with us your achievements. We also work through Facebook, we work through LinkedIn, and through other modalities in order to advertise the accomplishments of our graduate students. The greater our accomplishments, the greater the recognition of Temple University. The greater the recognition of Temple University, the more your degree is valued. So today is the first day of your tenure process. So finish off on graduate school news. Boa Kim just received an American Heart Fellowship for the next 2 years. It gives her not only a nice stipend, it also provides her with additional monies for her lab expenses and her research. And she was one of our fellowship students. Then we have an MFA candidate in media arts, and their short documentary was up for an Academy Award this year. It didn't win, but to make the cut of hundreds and hundreds that are submitted to get down to the final 5 is really important. And that's an MFA student. And last year, from the Boyer School of Music, we had one of the 5 finalists up for a Grammy Award. So the arts are just doing wonderful things out there. So this is where you find out what other people are doing. And then Jasmine Cloud just received a whole series in history. This is just an idea of what students have done recently. And then finally, I mentioned the dissertation completion grants and project completion grants. These were the students who were awarded the grants in the spring semester. They had gone through their 4 years of funding, and they received extra funds and a tuition credit to complete their doctoral work. We do have a writing center here. It's very active. They do periodically run dissertation boot camps. I would recommend that you go onto their link and follow for when these announcements occur. Thank you very much. I think I'm supposed to introduce, are you going to do the introductions? Okay.